Good morning, everybody. You probably noticed I don't have any, there's no cowboy hat, so it's not Hammer today. This is Ron Siegel. I am sitting in the hot seat for Hammer while he's unplugged this week. So glad to have you with us. If you are watching us live, please check in. Please tell me where you're from. I don't know everybody as well as Hammer does. So if you tell me where you're checking in from, I would appreciate it. And we'll get on with talk saying hello to everybody. We also want to remind you all of the Hammer good stuff. So if you want to make sure and know when Hammer is with us, make sure that you're getting the text reminders for the program. He doesn't charge anything for that, just so you know that we're going live in the mornings, or he's going live in the mornings. I'm here just for the week while he's out on a motorcycle driving around the southeast part of the country. I don't know about that motorcycle stuff. That's, but you know, something, I guess if you can get unplugged, that's a good way of doing it. Also remind you, I am a subscriber, just like many of you are. I'm a user of the Hammer stuff. So grab and go social. Today's Tuesday, so there will be a grab and go social call today. So watch out for that one. And daily lock advice. You know, this is an interesting one, especially in times like this. I think Hammer charges $7 a month for this one. So how do you go wrong when you're getting advice for, $7 a month? A lot of times I say you get what you pay for, but not in this one. That's a pretty cheap price. So if you want, sign up for that one as well. Let's go ahead and I guess I'm supposed to tell you that every day at 9:30, 6:30 for those of us on the West Coast. I see that there's a lot more folks on the Midwest and East today. So our California West Coasters are not checking in, I guess, after the day yesterday. We're still a bit asleep. So make sure if you are checking in again, all that fancy stuff, subscribe, thumbs up, tag your LO friends, get everybody to keep on growing with us. Let's say hello to all of, say hello to all the live folks that are here. I guess no one's dead, so we're not going to say hello to any of the dead folks. Angela Walters, good morning. Bino, live from Texas. Glad to see it. Randy Tickle, giddy up from Texas also. Megan is in Huntsville, Alabama. Mallory Fodiatis. I know Mallory's on all the time. I see her on there all the time. I don't know where you're from, Mallory, but Michael Love is with us. Randy Tickle. Grab and Grow Social. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to share this kind of personal and don't get upset with me. So here's the interesting thing. I know, ladies, please ignore this for 1 second. Gentlemen, I know what you're doing. First thing out of bed, you get up, you go into the restroom, you have your phone in your hand, and you sit there for the next 15 minutes. Go on Grab and Go Social, grab that post, and share it. It's a good use of your time. You're already in there scrolling anyway. So I know the ladies are going to laugh and they're going to get, gross. I know. But okay, Allison Foy checking in. Oh, Will Patterson, another West Coaster. Modesto, beautiful Modesto. I spent a week there one night. Mallory is Niceville, Florida. Brian is in Lillian, Alabama. Okay, let's get on with it. We're going to get started with this show, and let's see if I can bring up, as I do most days when I join Hammer, if I can figure out this restream, because as you know, I do a live radio show. We do ours. We recorded on StreamYard at 9 in the morning California time. So if you ever, I have nothing to do, 9 in the morning California time. We're on all the socials. You can find us Ron Siegel Radio. Today's National Pick Strawberries Day. Now, if you've ever been out there in the fields, number one, you have to have small feet because the space between the fields is pretty small. And then you're going to get sore back. Grab and just became Grab and Grows. Okay, Randy, don't tell Hammer that. I mean, that might be a problem there. He might not like that too much. Okay, so let's get on with it. Recap from yesterday. I'm not sure. Are you able to see the bottom thirds there? Someone let me know in there. But even if you're not, so yesterday, if you were watching, I told you that the markets always always overreact. And if you watch what they did yesterday, well, okay, so they do always overreact. And my screen, I don't know why this screen likes to refresh so frequently. But yesterday, the markets, if you look at them, we opened up way down. And let's go to a 2-day right here. So if we opened up, we came way down, and all throughout the day we were recovering that and constantly seeing that's all the 5-day. Let me get the 2-day. Okay, there we are. Dropped off the cliff, all based on the Moody's commentary or Moody's thoughts. And now you go and you watch, and we recovered all day long. Now we're back down again today. So we're going to talk about all of those things. But if you remember, I shared with you yesterday, the markets always overreact, and they do. Why are we looking at? Why are we worried about this? So Moody's, they're the ones that came out with these thoughts, and they downgraded the U.S. debt 10 minutes before the markets closed on Friday. The markets didn't like that, so they ended up coming. We took a dive on Friday. Continued that dive overnight and over the weekend and into the start of Monday morning. And then the analysts start looking at it and saying, well, what is this telling us? Well, it's kind of telling us that S&P and Fitch had done this many, many years ago. And this is really no new news. It's all ho-hum. So then you start looking and saying, okay, what's going to be driving the market and the issues for today? Well, we're watching the treasuries, if I can bring that one up over here, and I'll see if I can get that onto the screen for you. So the treasuries are moved. Well, I don't like that chart. Let's look at this chart. Treasuries, there we are. So we can see this is a 5-day chart of treasuries. And let me get over here and share that screen. I got them down here to share. I'm still navigating through this restream, guys. So please bear with me. Okay, so now we've got the 5-day chart over here on the 10-year Treasury. And you can see that the 10-year Treasury came down through the day yesterday, and now it's back up again today. So we're up right now 6 basis points. The mortgage-backed security, the bond, is down 20 basis points, which means rates are going up. Why? Well, if you look at the news, there really isn't anything much in the news to drive the markets. So what's moving it? Well, you got every one of the Fed speakers is out chatting this week. I guess before Memorial Day weekend, they have nothing better to do with their time. So every one of them seem to be giving a speech. And I think today there's like 7 or 8 of them out there speaking. And the markets are now looking at it and saying, okay, let's see what they're going to say. And they all seem to be saying maybe one rate cut. Well, the markets don't seem to be liking the idea of one rate cut, although maybe it's actually better for all of us. So the Fed expectations, traders are still betting on 2, but the Fed speakers are saying 1. The Fed members themselves are saying 1. A little bit of a battle right there. So what are the markets going to move on? They're basically moving on the thought that maybe we are heading into, just a one-cut year. But if you remember last time they cut, the markets didn't really like the cut. So we're going to watch that. Now, global bankers all around the globe, China's central bank lowered its benchmark lending rates by 10 basis points to stimulate domestic demand. Similarly, the Reserve Bank of Australia cut interest rates for the second time, citing easing inflation risks. Global easing policies can influence the U.S. bond market, as we know. And investors, they're going to start looking. Eventually, we're going to get to a point, regardless of what the Fed does, is there's 2 ways of making money for investors in bonds. One of them is on the yield. That's where most of them go to. The other way of making money is on the bond price itself. How low can it go? So if you keep watching the bonds, how low do we think where the bonds are going to continue to drop? And then then you start buying the bond, because if you're buying a bond at say 99.50, well, if it goes to par 50, 100.5, you just made money on the bond price itself, because you can then sell the bond itself. And if we keep watching some of the different numbers, we watch the leading economic indicators. April fell 1% month over month, extending a trend of 36 declines in the past 38 months. 6-month annualized leading economic indicators now a negative 3.9%. That's consistent with past recession numbers. The CEI LEI spread exceeds the critical 6% threshold. Another recession indicator. Service sector's margins are being squeezed. The New York Fed index negative 16.2 in May, the fourth straight double-digit contraction. So consumer sentiment, only 13% see better conditions coming, and a record low for better personal finances. So all these different areas that we're watching are starting to say that the economy is not real strong. Now, we don't need the Fed to help us. All we need to do is watch what the bond markets are doing. And if we can get some stability and we can get the spread in there, there's room to save money based on just the spread between the 10-year Treasury. And I'll see if I can bring up where we've been, because, it's kind of fun when we're doing commentary like this, or Hammer gets to do this on a regular basis. I do it on radio. But you're trying to predict where the market's going to go. And we're looking, let me get this other, and we're really doing absolutely nothing. So if you look at Mortgage News Daily as the reference point, which I know Hammer does on a regular basis, you can see that yesterday we were at 6.99. Again, that's the Mortgage News Daily number. And we're running all the way back to the beginning of May, 6.83. So we've had less than, about an eighth of a point change in the entire month. And we've watched the numbers jumping all over the place. So I'm just going to stay on there. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of news coming out this week as we continue to move forward. I will say that, in my case, and I can only tell you what I'm looking at, I'm doing. I'm floating, but I'm watching the news. I've got tickers running. Again, if you haven't got the alerts from Hammer, I would suggest getting those alerts, because they are $7 a month. How do you go wrong there? So I'm watching that, and I'm just saying, something, cautiously floating, because there's not a whole lot. Now, I will share with you that some of the folks that I follow are very, very optimistic about where we're heading on interest rates. And another one of the services, or one of the commentators that has a great report that I look at, Les Parker, and he talks about some of the same things: consumer sentiment sliding, inflation expectations. We're not horrible right there. They're not great, but they're not horrible right there. The bullish bearish tension. The bulls are supported by the MBS and 5-year futures. The bears, 10-year bond futures and cash yields remain heavy. He's still thinking that by the end of the year, we're looking at some strong benefits in the mortgages, especially if we can keep crude oil. And this is what Hammer and I spoke about this last week. But crude oil, if we can keep that below $65 a barrel, that's going to be a big benefit for us. 10-year, 2-year spread stands at plus 49 basis points, still inverted. So then we know the inversion means that it's not as a recessionary trend. So I'm going to just go back to saying that I'm still on the idea of floating and watching, because what those Fed speakers have to say is that drives the market, regardless of what we want. So that drives the market. Any other thoughts from what you guys are thinking? If you have thoughts on or questions on what we're talking about, holler at me. I'm here to answer those questions and to give you some advice as best I can, based on just sitting in for Hammer this week. Again, one of the big things, if you've got them, lock them. If you've got people that are nervous, or if you've got real tight ratios, that's what I'm saying, lock. If you don't have real tight ratios, or you don't have a backup plan, that's what I'm saying you can float. Because if we don't give advice, what do they need us for? Right? That's the whole focus, is if we're not out there giving people advice, giving them a story as to why we're saying what we're saying, why we're coming. Because if you can listen to the news, you can go on one station and hear that the market's falling, that the world is coming to an end, and you can go on another station and hear how rosy everything is. And people, what are they doing right now? They just go to the station that tells them what they want to hear. So just throw that out there for you. And I hope it solves some benefits for you. Hope it gives you some good information. Let's see. We've got Katie Colgan is with us. Good morning. Debbie Richardson, Northwest Arkansas. Okay. Jerry Avila, Ventura, California, another early bird. Almer, good morning. Glad to have you with us. Lisa, glad to have you with us. Leroy, glad this is for you. We're still live. You don't have to hit the hashtag replay yet. We're still live, but only for another couple seconds, because that's about everything I have for you. I'm trying to give you some good information, but to be quite honest with you, there's not a whole lot going on. All we're looking at right now, as I look at the markets, is the mortgage bond is down 22 basis points. When we started, it was down 20. So there's not a whole heck of a lot going on with that. Again, remember for the overreactions, and remember as we get closer and closer to the weekend, traders leave. When the traders leave, there's less liquidity in the market. So the bond swings become bigger and bigger. And I'm just looking right now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess there's 7 speakers, Federal Reserve speakers, all giving us their opinions today. Not all of them are voters, thank goodness. But that's Randy Teagle. Current volatility drives me to lock most files as long as current numbers make sense for the bond. You know something? There's an old story, Randy. You can never go broke taking a profit. And what I mean by that is, something. If I don't know why I can't get those comments to show up in the chat, but in any event, something. If your borrowers are happy where they are, go ahead and lock them, because we know that if there is an opportunity for repricing down the road, I tell folks, if we get better than 3/8 in the rate, then we can talk about saving you some of that. We may not be able to get all of it for you, but we can save you some of it with a renegotiation. So why take on that extra risk? Great advice there, Randy. I appreciate that. If you have nothing else for you guys, I'm going to call it a morning. We're 18 minutes in. Yesterday I went probably too long. Some folks I don't think like the idea of how long we went until we got to the lock advice. But I'll be back here tomorrow morning. We'll see how our numbers looked and what our commentary had, and see if we can give you some more information coming to you from the heart, and actually coming to you from Disneyland area. I'm in Anaheim, California, so no one knows where Anaheim is. People do know where Disneyland is. So hope you have a great day. If you have questions, reach out. I look at Hammer's commentaries, because I am a subscriber. If you want to go and ping me directly, feel free to instant message, DM, any of that kind of good stuff.